Hello, beautiful angel. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to the video. Today, we're going to dive into something that I feel really resonant and connected with, which is going from the wounded feminine into the healthy feminine. And this is a journey that I've personally been on, and being able to not only feel the shifts in myself, in the way that I carry myself, in the way that I speak, my behavior, also seeing those shifts reflected back to me in the men that I meet, the experiences that I have, is so magical. So, in today's video, I'm going to break down what exactly is the unhealthy feminine, the wounded feminine, and what does she look like? How does she behave? How does she come alive? How is she being fed? And I will dive into how to actually shift into the healthy feminine, right? The divine feminine. And yeah, so let's get started. So I want to start with the wounded feminine. How does she come alive? How do you recognize her? The wounded feminine always looks for something outside of herself to feel fulfilled, to feel good about herself, right? She craves validation. She craves that external, whether it's someone's like telling her that she's beautiful, whether it's anything that's outside of herself, is something that she needs in order to fill this gap within. She's very dependent on her environment, and the way that she feels about herself is very dependent on her environment. She has this energy of desperation, and the way that she moves through the world is looking for those gazes and looks to tell her she's beautiful, and she's desperate for them. Like, she needs them, she craves them, because without them she's not worthy, she's not beautiful, she's not anything. So it's really this energy of desperation, and I like to, or I prefer to say wounded feminine, because deep down there's this girl that really craves to feel beautiful and fulfilled on her own, but she doesn't know how to. And that's why she searches outside of herself. And oftentimes it's a learned behavior, right? It's the patriarchy, it's conditioning that puts women into this spot where it's never enough, right? You always have to have this thing outside of yourself to finally be worthy and to finally feel good about yourself, right? There's so much stress on the perfect relationship. And I remember from growing up, like, if I hadn't kissed a boy when I was, I don't know, 17, I was weird. If I hadn't had sex by this age, it was weird. Like, there's this pressure that we need something outside of ourselves to be worthy, to be accomplished. Another thing that the wounded feminine has is she has a lack of boundaries, or she doesn't have any. So she oftentimes finds herself either crossing her own boundaries, regarding them unimportant when somebody else does, and not having them, not putting them up, because she's scared that she might lose someone if she does. And it even still touches this tender spot in my heart when I speak about it, because I was her. I remember sitting on my bed and questioning and wondering and doubting myself because this random guy that I was casually seeing hadn't texted me back in a couple of days. And I remember so vividly just that feeling of unworthiness, because I wasn't given that validation that I so craved. And it's this chasing energy, right? It's like going out to get it. The wounded feminine is scared that she's gonna lose something. She's gonna lose the relationship, or a man, if she stands up for herself, she's gonna lose friends or anything. So she's chasing it to get it and to hold on to it. And in that holding on, there's a complete disregard of boundaries, of self-respect. And that's because she doesn't know how to, because this is what she's been taught. Another thing about the wounded feminine is that she is manipulative. And I want to deconstruct any idea that you have around manipulation right now, when of course that is true. The wounded feminine manipulates to get what she wants. She uses her charm, her beauty to get what she desires. She can be very controlling. Like, right, there's this side of the wounded feminine that's this scared little girl that's scared to stand up for herself. And then there's this other side that some people would say is the dark feminine, but it's not. The dark feminine is so incredibly powerful and right, she's magic. But the wounded feminine is manipulative to get what she wants. And I want to say another thing about growing up in a system that is literally designed for women to continuously want something outside of themselves and they'll never feel complete, right? Capitalism is built on this. We need the clothes, we need the makeup, like everything is like you need this, otherwise you're not going to be good enough. It requires us to live in this state, this constant state of believing that we are not good enough on our own. And we are. We are good enough on our own. We don't need all anything. We don't need anything outside of us to connect and tap in with that inherent worthiness that we are a child of God, a child of the universe, and that you are so worthy and complete as you are. Many traits of the wounded feminine are coping mechanisms in order to be seen and to be heard. They are protective protective layers against feeling undervalued, feeling unsafe and unseen. And these responses are valid and they have served you in the past, but they are no longer serving you right now. So it's time to shift and step into the healthy feminine, the one that feels nourishing and whole on her own. So that's about the wounded feminine, everything that I want to share right now. There's so much more. There's so many layers, but these are the ones that I found for myself to be super present. So I want to speak on them. And we'll get into the healthy feminine soon. I just want to go a little bit deeper into the roots of the wounded feminine energy. The roots of wounded feminine often comes from past trauma of betrayal of trust, of abandonment, and of this, like I talked about already, this societal pressure that's put on women to remain small, to be pleasing, right? You cannot stand up for yourself because you need to please other people. And now the healthy feminine, the healed feminine. She, first of all, she doesn't need anything outside of herself or anyone outside of herself to make her feel good about herself. She knows her inherent worthiness, her inherent beauty, her inherent capacity and capability of just being enough as she is. She's super secure in who she is. And in order to be so secure in who you are, you need to know who you are, right? So if you notice yourself feeling insecure or feeling your state of security and self-centeredness shift in different environments or different people around you, really start looking at, okay, where can I find this anchor of who I am? Who am I really? And start diving into that aspect. The healthy feminine also, she's playful and sensual and she's expressive, right? The healthy feminine, she just like life is so delicious to her because she's so deeply connected to her body and her senses and her self-worth that she can She can just like be in her pleasure unapologetically. She can be in her sovereignty unapologetically. One of the main differences that I have experienced from shifting from my wounded to my healthy feminine is that piece of pleasure. Being able to take a bite of food and moan, and being able to laugh when I want to, as loud as I want to be able to have these sighs that are just like, right? Just like in the middle of nowhere, and it doesn't matter. And if other people are triggered by that, then so it is. The healthy feminine doesn't make herself any smaller than she doesn't make herself smaller for anyone because she knows that there is so much truth and so much power in her real, authentic expression. The feminine is also surrendered. And when I say surrendered, I don't mean this passive state of just going with whatever's happening. Surrender is an active process of deeply trusting the divine, deeply trusting God, deeply trusting yourself and your capacity to navigate anything that comes your way. And it's this quality of softness that allows you to have this peace and ease within you. And the process of surrender is met with discernment. It's so important to be able to discern, okay, when do I actually stand my ground and stay vast and steady and thus tap into your healthy masculine? And when am I supposed to move with it? When am I supposed to, be like clay, be so steady and vast, but still moldable? And when I say that, I don't mean in a sense of, oh, someone else gets to mold you. No. This means you don't have to harden in situations where you can just surrender and become that conduit and vessel for the energy, right? So, how do you shift? How to go from the wounded to the healthy feminine? The first thing I did was setting boundaries and be very intentional and strict with them. The way that I used to see boundaries was like this wall, right? This you cannot go any further. And it felt very constrictive. When I started seeing boundaries as a form of self-respect and self-honoring, a sacred a sacred container around my energy and who I allow into my space, who I allow into my being. It's become so much more like something that I need to deeply honor. And I have a beautiful guided meditation that I will link below that you can use to really connect with your boundaries because we have non-negotiables, we have boundaries, we have standards, and we have all these different things. And getting clear on each one of those is going to help you so much with really cultivating that self-trust, right? Because even if you have boundaries and you cross them yourself or you let someone else cross them, it breaks the trust that you have with yourself. Your body knows, oh, you said this, but you're doing this, so I can't trust you. And then this discongruency happens, this misalignment, right? So setting boundaries and also being compassionate and gentle in the process, right? The healthy feminine is compassionate, she's graceful. When I started setting boundaries, I wasn't familiar with having boundaries at all. So when I set them and then maybe I broke them or someone else broke them and I didn't really stand my ground there, to get mad at yourself and upset doesn't serve you at all. But to meet yourself with grace and compassion, like, hey, you tried. Thank you. Like, thank you for trying. And let's do it again. Let's practice it again. Let's strengthen that muscle of self-honoring. And boundaries are essential acts of self-love. And you can start small. You can start with just saying no when maybe someone wants to see you and you're not in the mood, and just like, hey, no, I don't have space for that. Or just anything that you feel like, okay, this is where I kind of want to say no, and this is where I kind of don't want something. And then just like seeing it as a practice, like, what if I just say no? What if I just express my boundary? Then what? And really starting to go there. Another thing that has been so healing for me in, yeah, really healing my wounded feminine was to stop outsourcing my validation and my worth. And the way that I did that was being intentionally single and celibate for about a year, year and a half, where I just completely removed the source of validation and self-worth that I would use. Like I would use men and relationships to feel good about myself. Completely removing that aspect. So not even talking to men, not texting men, not dating any men, not kissing, not cuddling, like nothing. And the first weeks, I remember just days where I was feeling, oh my God, I cannot do this. I crave connection. I crave love. And it was this damsel in distress. I was like, oh, I need to be saved. And then on other days, I started feeling more confident and powerful. And I was like, wow, okay, yeah, I can do this. I can give myself everything I need. And slowly but steadily, I started feeling more and more and more of that peace and power of sovereign self-sourcing, of wow, I don't need to outsource my worth. I don't need someone to tell me I'm beautiful to feel beautiful. And I started experiencing what it's like to feel so fulfilled on my own that automatically my standards for being with someone were risen. They went up because I felt so peaceful and fulfilled by myself. I was like, I don't need some random man to tell me I'm beautiful. I already know that. Like, and not just like I know that, but I feel that. And the space that you are in when you feel so fulfilled by yourself, and from that space, if you start meeting people and dating, you're not coming from this taking energy like, oh, you need to give me this because I don't have it myself, right? You stop coming from this place of wanting to have something that they have for you because you already have it. So you come from this place of fullness of I just want to give love. And then you get to meet people who are the same, who don't need to take anything from you in order to feel good about themselves. So it trickles into your relationships so much. And you get to have relationships that are based on mutual respect and love and flow overflow instead of relationships that are super transactional, right? You give me validation so I feel good about myself, and then you give me sex so I feel good about myself. Like it's this constant, I have this empty hole inside of me and you need to fill it, to I already feel so full. And let's both feel full together and just come together in connection and love. And the last tip that I want to give you is to start just recognizing when you operate from your wounded feminine and when you operate from your healthy feminine. And it's a lot of times it's in the very like very subtle moments where, for example, when you want to post a picture on Instagram or something, and you can ask yourself, okay, do I want to post this because I just want to share this and I feel good about myself, and like it comes from this yummy full place? Or is it, ooh, I'm feeling kind of sad. I kind of want people to tell me I'm beautiful. And then you can discern, okay, am I doing this because of it's coming from my wounded girl or because it's coming from my healthy woman? And once you start characterizing the simple ways and the subtle ways in which your inner wounded girl shows up, you get to become aware of that and then find those moments and shift from there into your healthy woman. And you can even, if it might make it easier, is to really paint a really clear picture of your healthy woman and how she carries herself, how she interacts with other people, what boundaries does she have? And then slowly start becoming her, start embodying her, start looking in the moments like, okay, this is where my wounded girl wants to steer. So let me shift into my woman. And that's how you slowly get to shift. A practice that I want to give you is to embrace emotional balance and self acceptance. The healthy feminine is emotionally expressive. She doesn't suppress her emotions because she thinks she's too much. She doesn't villainize her emotions either. She welcomes them, holds them because she knows she has the capacity to navigate through them and she can let them go again. Right? The healthy feminine has her heart so wide open because she knows that she can navigate any heartbreak. And she also knows that any heartbreak or grief is just another portal into a more deeply opened hearts, right? The wounded inner girl, she's scared to get her heart broken and she closes it. And when she wants to express all her love, like I know you are we got some lover girls in here. I love deeply. I love so fully. I write poems, I write songs, I write music. And before, I would never dare to share them because, oh, whoa, what if I'm too much? What if they cannot handle it? What if, and I used to hear from ex-partners as well, like, you're too good for me. You're too, like, they couldn't handle the capacity or they didn't have the capacity to hold the openness and the fullness of my love. And the wounded inner girl, she closes her heart because she wants to please others, because she is scared to hurt others with her fullness. So she puts these locks on her heart and she's like, okay, I'll make myself small and I won't express, I won't text first because what if they think I'm too much? I won't tell them I like to receive active service or that I enjoy, I don't know, that I enjoy this or that because they'll think I ask too much. And I don't want that because then they might run away. Then they might abandon me. She she moves from this fear of abandonment. While the woman knows that if she's asking for something or expressing herself or being so open in her love, and if someone cannot handle it, then that's not her person anyways. If someone cannot handle it, that's not her responsibility. That's not her responsibility. This one is a big one for me, even like up until a couple months ago, even or like last year. I was holding back in being so fully myself and expressing my feelings and my authentic being because I knew or I felt, oh, if I'm fully myself, they might fall in love with me or they might get their feelings hurt. But it's not your responsibility how someone else responds to you. And I say that with the implication that you're very clear with your boundaries, right? That even if you, for example, if you're becoming friends with a guy and you're really not open to a relationship, then really state that. And you're really not open to anything but friendship. Really be so clear. And when you are your full self, when you are your playful, sensual, open, beautiful expression of who you are, and if they cannot handle that, it's not your responsibility. You don't have to make yourself small in order to please other people, right? It's this tendency of the inner wounded girl to come back to, oh, I need to please other people. So let me just let me just contain myself and contain my energy so they don't think I'm too much, right? She's also very assumptive, assuming, as you know what I mean. And the woman knows, like, okay, I stand my ground, I communicate clearly, and this is who I am. Like, take it or leave it. And if they leave it, amazing, great. If they take it, amazing, great. Like, the biggest shift I've felt was from releasing attachment to people, to anyone outside of myself. Because once you release that attachment of, oh, like I need you in order to feel good, or I need you in my life, that starts to trickle into the way that you show up in that relationship. And when you fully honor yourself and your expression, it doesn't matter if they leave. It doesn't matter if when you express a boundary, they're out the door. I'm just like, okay, bye. Thank you. Like, thank you for showing me so soon that you're not the person for me. Thank you for saying no to one of my non-negotiables because now there's space for someone who will, right? So that's all that I wanted to express to you today. I hope it's given you somewhat of a map to tend to your inner wounded feminine and also gently shift into the healthy woman. And I just want to reassure you that healing the inner wounded girl is a journey. It's not just going to happen overnight, and that's okay. Like, it's just so important to be so compassionate and graceful with yourself. I even right now, like, I started healing my wounded inner girl, I think 2 or 3 years ago. And she still comes to the surface sometimes. But now I feel so anchored into my woman that I can meet her with love and compassion and grace and say, hey, I see you, but we're not doing that. That's not happening. So I just want to reassure you and remind you that it's a journey. It's a homecoming to yourself, to your sacred being, to your sacred womanhood, to your body. And I want to remind you that every step that you take towards embodying more of your healthy feminine woman is another step closer to feeling completely confident, whole, worthy, and beautiful in your own natural energy. So, thank you so much for listening and tuning in. And let me know in the comments what came up, how you're feeling, if you resonate. I'd love to hear, have a conversation, and I'll see you in the next one.